For the past 3 years, the entire AI industry has run on one comfortable assumption: American labs have a lead nobody can close. Wall Street priced Silicon Valley like the race was basically decided. This week, that assumption took a real hit. A Chinese startup called Moonshot AI just released a new model called Kimi K3, and it's not a cheap lightweight model built to look good in a press release. K3 is a 2.8 trillion parameter model, the largest open-weight AI ever released to the public. It reads images natively, handles long complex coding tasks, and within 24 hours of launch, it took the #1 spot on Arena's front-end code leaderboard, ahead of Anthropic's Cable 5 and OpenAI's GPT 5.6 Soul on that specific test. And its open weight. Moonshot has promised the full model weight will drop by July 27th this year, meaning within days, anyone will be able to download and run it locally. The reaction was immediate. Nvidia and Micron shares slid, and the companies that got hit hardest weren't even American. China's own AI labs saw their stock prices crater within a day as investors realized what a free near frontier model does to everyone selling a similar product. So what exactly is Kimi K3? Why is one model release rattling boardrooms on 2 continents? And how did a lab operating under the tightest chip restrictions in tech history end up building this? Let's get into the numbers nobody's fully explaining. In this video, we are going to talk about 3 things: the pricing problem, how did they build this under sanctions, and the benchmark versus reality of Kimi K3. Stay tuned till the end. Let's get into it. Section 1. The pricing problem. To understand why K3 is causing this much noise, you need to understand how American AI labs plan to pay off their bets. Like we covered in the last video, companies like Meta, Microsoft, and Google are collectively spending around $700 billion this year alone on AI infrastructure. Their plan to recover that money is charging a premium, the assumption that if your model is the smartest, businesses will pay top dollar for it, no matter what. Kimi K3 didn't destroy that entire premise. Moonshot's own technical report is upfront that K3 still trails the very best proprietary models overall, but on the specific benchmark that matters most to working developers, raw front-end coding tasks judged blind. K3 took the top spot. First time a Chinese model has ever done that. And the pricing is the twist nobody expected. Chinese AI labs usually compete by being cheap and a little rough around the edges. Moonshot didn't do that. K3 is priced at $3 per million input tokens, the highest price any Chinese lab has ever charged. This isn't a discount play. It's roughly 40% below what Anthropic charges for Fable 5. But Moonshot is clearly positioning K3 as a premium product, not a baggage bin alternative. Pair that pricing with a 1 million token context window and strong long horizon coding performance, and you get a model that can sit inside a company's entire code base and work through it methodically. For the American labs, that's the uncomfortable part. How do you justify premium pricing for a closed model when something performing at a similar level is sitting in the open at a lower cost and within days completely free to download and run yourself? Section 2. How did they build this under sanctions? Here's the question Washington is actually asking. How did they build this at all? For years, the US has enforced export controls specifically designed to stop Chinese firms from getting the most advanced Nvidia and AMD chips. The idea being no cutting-edge hardware, no cutting-edge model. Yet, Moonshot AI, backed by Alibaba and Tencent, and reportedly in the middle of a funding round, pushed its valuation past $20 billion, pulled off a 2.8 trillion parameter model. That's roughly 75% larger than any open model before it. So how do you train something that size without a warehouse of restricted American chips? The honest answer? Better engineering, not more hardware. Moonshot built two real architectural innovations here, not marketing terms. These are documented in their own technical papers. The first is called Kimi Delta Attention, a more efficient way of handling attention across very long sequences, so the model does not need a mountain of extra compute just to process a huge document. The second, attention residuals, changes how information moves between the model's layers, making training itself more efficient. Put together, Moonshot says these changes give K3 roughly 2.5 times the scaling efficiency of its previous model. In plain terms, more capability squeezed out of less hardware. This is exactly the argument that sets off alarm bells in Washington. David Sachs, who advises the White House on AI policy, posted about it directly. His words, "This is how you lose the AI race." His broader point was that while the US debates over data center restrictions and pre-approval requirements for the new models, labs overseas are simply building and shipping. He argued that the openness that let America win the internet era is exactly what's now missing from its AI strategy. Section 3. Benchmark versus reality. Let's slow down here for a moment, because this channel doesn't just repeat the hype cycle. And right now, the Kimi K3 story is getting flattened into something simpler than it actually is. If you only look at the benchmark chart, K3 looks unbeatable, but developers who have actually used the API this week are telling a messier story. On one hand, early reports on long-running coding tasks have been genuinely positive. The model holds up well across extended debugging sessions without losing track of the tasks, which matters a lot for real engineering work. On the other hand, some users have flagged friction. The model tends to be more verbose than it needs to be. Responses can run slower than competing systems, and token usage can add up quickly on complex tasks. I'll be upfront that I haven't independently verified the specifics of every complaint circulating online, so take the anecdotal side with a grain of salt until Moonshot's full technical report and broader independent testing are out. The fair read right now, K3 is a legitimate technical achievement, especially on the benchmark it topped. Whether it holds up as the everyday tool of choice for working developers is still an open question. So zoom out. What does K3 actually change? It means that the AI race is no longer a closed conversation happening only in San Francisco boardrooms. By releasing a 2.8 trillion parameter model as open weight, Moonshot has put frontier-level AI capability within reach of anyone willing to download it, not just companies who can afford a subscription. If you are building a career or a business around AI, the takeaway isn't panic. It's don't assume the current leaderboard is permanent. The gap between the labs that dominate headlines and the labs racing to catch them is closing faster than most people expected a year ago. The next major disruption in this space might not come from Silicon Valley at all. If you want to understand how the American side of this race is actually being financed, where all that infrastructure money is really going, click the video right here where I break down the real reason behind this year's layoff.